Welcome to Cage Free Voices Radio, an innovative educational entertainment radio show where youth and young adults have the opportunity to see themselves even if the world is blind. I am your host, Bathsheba Smithen. Today we're going to be talking about speaking your truth and not being afraid of who you are. We have with us a dynamic poet, and I would care to say gift to the world. She is 22 and managing like crazy as a mom. She is a poet, a spoken word artist, and blogger. Her name is Allison Props, and we have to give her props like for all that she is doing right now. She's a full-time mother and wife who uses her spare time to devote to her call of writing and speaking. Now, she's going to seem to be really quiet, but trust me, she's loud. She has a heart after God's truth and love and yearns to have it be so abundant that it spills out into everyone who she crosses paths with. Every word she writes is not with intention of perfection, but to engage across all borders and walks of life a sense of connectedness, hope, and solidarity, as well as to explore and reveal the depths of herself and the world around her with the ambition of building bridges to God, all while making his story along the way. So you can even tell with the bio that she's a poet. Come on now, you guys. But say something to the people, Allison.
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Allison. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited about this.
I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you.
I know that you are, and I want to say that again, like you're a phenomenal young woman managing a lot.
Thank you.
22 years old with children and just doing the daggone thing. And because we were talking about speaking your truth, I want to know, like, what has been your experience just as a performer, period? What has been your experience with speaking your truth when you go out to do various engagements?
It's been hard for me. It's been very hard for me. Like you said, I'm so quiet. I'm so shy. And putting me on a stage, like the first time that I ever did an event, I literally went home and I like threw up. I made myself sick with anxiety.
Wow.
But it's hard. But every time I do it and every time I push through and every time I show up at an event, I walk away just feeling this incredible amount of purpose, even if nobody even said anything to me, there's been times actually where I went to a spoken mic one time, and I've been called all types of things at spoken mics because, it's not like a church event, so people will really speak their mind there. Like, I've been called little Eminem. I've been called, like, one time somebody, when I got off the stage, was like, today's not Sunday, it's not time for preaching. But, like I said, the purpose inside of me is so much bigger than that.
And what do you believe that purpose is?
Kind of like what my bio said, just engaging all paths of life. There's something very, very spiritual about the arts.
Yeah.
It really reaches people. There's been times in my life where, the form of words have reached me, reading, writing, hearing, and you hear something that just really like resonates with you. It just really clicks. And there's a couple things that it's like, one thing is, wow, this person feels what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not alienated. Like, I can relate to other people. That's a big thing, because lack of sense of community is the reason for a lot of the strife going on. So that's it's not like every time I do a piece, I try to do that, but I'm aware that like that's something that God is using me to promote.
And how do you usually go through the writing process? I always ask people what their process is.
Right. I've thought about this question so much because I've never actually been asked it, but I've thought about the answer because I literally write things a piece at a time. Yeah. I'll get a line in my head, or I'll get a thought while I'm driving or doing dishes or out and about.
Driving, it's always driving.
It's always when you're driving. I've had to pull over so many times to like write these thoughts out, and I forget them really quick. I'm really bad at memorizing things, which also doesn't help when you're a poet. But so I'll pull over and I'll write them down and I'll build them, sometimes sentence by sentence, sometimes stanza by stanza. Sometimes I will get this whole image in my head of what a whole piece is supposed to be like. And it'll be like these connector pieces, like this theme and this imagery. And really drive in like this detail, this is the topic. And I'll have to sit down. I'll have to stop everything I'm doing and sit down and just write it out until it's right. And it's like I can't leave.
Yeah.
I can't leave until I just connect all these little connector pieces that truly feel like God has given me. And so it's different every time. But yeah.
What would you say is the greatest struggle in communicating your truth?
I think the greatest struggle is, to be honest, the fact that not everybody is saved. Not everybody has their mind made up about God, about what they believe, which makes it really hard for me when I'm writing, makes me overthink my angle so many times. Like, how am I coming at this person? How am I saying this? Because every time I've ever written something, God has really placed on my heart, this is going to be for somebody.
Yeah.
Like, this piece is for somebody specific. Somebody that God loves, somebody that God made, somebody that God has purpose for. And my job is just to speak the piece. And so it's really hard because sometimes I try to overdo it and like, well, let me make up this thing for this person.
Yeah.
And I want it to be more me than God. And I try to like take over. So that's really the hardest thing. And then just also having the confidence, like, if you think about it, like God tells you this piece is for somebody and you just show up and you're talking to a crowd and it's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, how can this be for somebody?
Yeah.
Like, especially when nobody says anything to you afterwards, it's like, how do I know? But then once again, like I said, I walk away with this purpose, with just this knowing that like, that really sat with somebody, like that really made something click in somebody's head, maybe answered a question,
And you never know how impactful your words are. And I think it's purpose to be that way, because sometimes we'll take all of the, like, for lack of a better term, like the glory for ourselves. Like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, that was really dope.
Right.
And just the words that you communicated because we saw each other at Real Women Charles County.
Right,
and
yep.
Real Women is an amazing
It's
organization.
awesome.
You guys should check it out
So
for
awesome.
young women and women out there looking for a safe space. Real Women is the place to be. So you want to check that out at realwomenrock.org. But we exchanged thoughts
Right.
while in this circle, and what you said about just having a difficult time expressing your truth when you go to certain engagements. It made me think about myself, like when I first got started. And when I first started putting together my music, I was like, no, I got to talk about like Jesus or God in a subliminal way so
Right,
people can
right.
receive it. And it was suppressing
Right.
who I am. And I think that there's a way for us to still be relatable, but not have to lose ourselves in the process. So when you talk, when you think about holding on to self, do you find that to be difficult?
I find it to be so difficult, especially because even if we didn't try, we kind of mimic what we see done before us and around us.
Yeah.
And I officially came out doing this whole like spoken word thing, 2016. It was June or July. I just came out there and I was like, I'm sick of suppressing this. I write stuff all the time and no ears hear it. It never comes out my mouth. And I was like, I just felt this boiling to just come out and just be like, I'm an artist. This is what I'm doing. But you kind of mimic people around you and what you see done. And there's like the really, really famous people who you see.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, I want to be like that. But then there's also like, I all of a sudden when I came aware to this like local scene of all of these local artists. And I'm watching them and I'm watching what they're doing. And I've even, picked up some off of listening to Cage Free Voices, actually, some local artists, and I'll follow them and I'll see what they're doing. And, they're doing 3 events this week in DC and this event here and this event here and this event here. And like, I have kids and I'm a full-time mom. And like, that's not the way that it looks for me. I can't just stop what I'm doing and be like, tonight we're gonna do this thing and then just go and be like, everything I do, it's like penciled in. Like, because my youngest son, I'm still nursing him. Like I have to schedule everything so accordingly. And so that's one of the hardest things is just trying to keep my truth and the way that I'm doing things and the way that I'm supposed to be, because this is my ministry. Like this is my ministry, and just the way that I'm supposed to do this is not the way that everybody else is doing it. And it gets really hard watching them and knowing that like I'm in this totally different category.
Yeah. Do you find yourself like feeling out of sorts, like in certain environments, And if that is the case, what kinds of environments are they?
Yeah, a lot of the time, actually, if I'm blatantly honest, I've done quite a few events. I've done a women's retreat a while ago. I did I don't know what you would call it, but it was kind of like a speaking engagement that was also open to the crowd, so a lot of like back and forth. I've done stuff at some churches. I've done stuff for youth groups across like Waldorf. But the one place that I really feel called to be is the place that I'm not invited, which is open mics. I feel very, very called to go there because they're the people who are kind of wandering. And so, that being what I do, I'm sorry, what was the question? I got so lost in my train of thought.
Girl, you're fine. You're fine. You were giving it to us. But what do you find yourself feeling like out of position in certain environments, and what environments are they?
Right. So the open mic thing, that's what I was getting to. I feel very out of sorts in those because, like I said, not only does everybody speak their mind, a lot of them are in DC or in Baltimore. To be straight up honest, like I'm the only white person there a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I love being there because not only I almost love listening more than I love speaking.
Yeah.
So like I'll be in the crowd listening to people, just having a good time, just processing like what this person's going through, how this person feels, and then it'll be my turn to go. And it's just always really hard because it's kind of a thought in the back of your mind, like, will I be accepted here? Like, are they gonna immediately like turn off just because of my skin color and not listen? And so, Jesus forgive us.
Oh, that's all right, because you got to keep the phone on as a mom.
Yeah, that's true. So it's really hard because it's like, am I gonna be received, or are they not going to receive me? Are they going to put me off just because of my skin color?
Do you think that the lack of response at times has anything to do with your ethnicity?
I don't know if I would say that because I've never really gotten a lack of response.
Okay.
It's never been straight up awkward, like I finish a piece and everybody's just like looking at each other. Like it's never been like that. There's always people clapping. There's always people like, that was so good. And like, I think that they hear me, that I'm there, that it's received, but it's just like kind of in my head. It's hard. It's just hard, especially with everything that the country is going through right now. It's like people could make so many false judgments off of your skin color both ways. It goes both ways. And so, I come there with an open mind, open heart, wanting to listen, wanting to love. But somebody who's been through a lot could really easily not think that about me. Yeah.
And as you go into the environments that are most comfortable, such as like the church, what is do you find that to be the case there?
Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. I guess actually, to be honestly, it's probably not. I feel a lot more accepted at the church. At churches, I probably feel less likely to be accepted over the fact that a lot of the times kind of like my style is very serious. It's not very joyful. It's not very.
It's powerful though.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like awesome.
Sometimes I'm like, if I'm gonna be real, are they just gonna think I'm being like a downer, or are they gonna be like, you should be more happy, or it's kind of different at churches. But I do kind of feel like this is very serious. Like, am I gonna be received because I'm so serious? Because I'm talking about hard things,
Yeah, when it's interesting to hear you say that because. For me, it's like the opposite.
Oh, okay.
It's like the opposite, except for, like at my church, at our church. When I usually go into more traditional churches, I am looked at a certain way because I don't fit the
right, exactly
the profile of what is expected when people are coming into a church, like what their attire should look like, and not only that, but people automatically assume certain things about me because of the way that I look.
Right, exactly.
So when I come into a church that's more traditional, they are not initially. They seem to be a little off-put by me until like I'm on the stage, and then the dynamic changes once I get off. Like it is very clear. It is there is a stark contrast between the time I come and the time that I leave. And I noticed that. And so girl, I think that what you do is amazing. In fact,
Thank
when
you.
I was reading the piece, when you sent it to me, I just felt like I've never felt chills just listening or just reading somebody's piece. But I felt that when I was reading your writing. And this piece is called Woke.
Yep.
Are you ready to give us?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is Allison Props, and trust me, you're gonna give her props after this, and I'm gonna keep doing that because I love the fact that her last name is Props.
Keep going.
With Woke.
Today I woke up human to a glorious God. Reaccounted mistakes I feel like I should have forgot by now. By now, I thought I would have evil thought resistance, but they creep up in my brain in this instance, first thing in my morning. Morning choices I made that pulled me like cheese on a fresh pizza pie, away from the God that connects my broken pieces and paints a canopy of clouds in my sky. The tears still fall for things I used to do. Memorial scars that reflect the sun like silver coins, like bumps on my flawless skin, screaming imperfection and dependency on Him. Today I woke up human to a glorious God. In everything I find myself lacking, I know He does not, and that's why I embrace my label when it reads imperfect. Because if He's the opposite of me, then honest scrutiny is worth it. Today I woke up human to a glorious God. I changed my emotions almost every time I took a breath, and they rolled me like Valcor to a never-ending story of self-pity. I ask myself questions like cop and victim in the interrogation room. You say God is worthy and good when things are going bad. Well, is He? One day I will wake up and I'll be fully woke, completely home. And I'll see that face I spent my whole life trying to know. He will stand in a courtroom and be both judge and defender, and I hope I can point to the white gates and say, please let me enter. Please find me worthy. I gave everything to you. I tied no theology not too tight for you to undo. I didn't bow down to state or country. I had my mind on the kingdom. God, I wanted to mirror your son. I gave it all. Cash to homeless, prayers for strangers, hours for my offspring, blood for persecution, smiles for rage, truth for blasphemy, solitude for wandering seasons. You have kept me as I've searched for you, and you are the only reason. And if I can't live in heaven with you for eternity, then anything else, no matter how grand, might as well be hell. One day, I will wake up and I will scream at the top of my lungs with spit flying forth, bless the Lord, it is well. Every race will race before me, bringing forth gifts of musical revelation fit for a king. Hot congos drumming, bagpipes, DJs, violins, ancient strings, man, my voice won't be able to keep up. And ever since salvation, I've been waking up to an understanding that we will never be fully awake here. No matter how deep the pain or regret or knowledge or fear, we will feel completely when we're completely woke. When the King of Kings puts you back together and you're no longer completely broke. And until then, I completely give me so that others will completely know these bodies long for so much more, because this world just ain't supposed to be home. One day I will wake up and I'll be fully woke, completely home. No more hurt or pain or sickness or being afraid. One day I'll wake up, and I hope to see you there.
Wow. Wow. So I know why you don't get response. Right? Like, because what you have just provided, a snap is not sufficient enough. Like, you get responses, you get claps, but all of what you're saying has to be digested. You know, like,
Yeah.
that was incredible.
Thank you.
That was incredible. And you guys know that it's hard to even like understand why she says she has a hard time memorizing, because she certainly did not seem like she had a hard time.
Because I put in the work.
Yeah, so we all have to put in work, and we just really appreciate you for coming out, Allison.
Thank you.
Again, I said you were going to give her props, so yes, get it. Yes, that was amazing, and I hope that blesses. We hope that blesses
Yes.
your heart today. Remember to see yourselves, even if the world is blind. Reflect, connect, and transcend every internal and external barrier that will try to cage your voice. Remember, be cage free. Thank you.